All right, so I have a file of a quick staple gun that I mocked up as just sort of a initial part for a project. And it's pretty rough. So I want to just make it slightly better. I just thought that I would take a minute to do at least a slightly cleaner version of something like this. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to just use this existing one as a rough model for what I'm doing. And I'm going to add a mesh, and I will add a cylinder. I'm going to scale it down dramatically. I'm going to just grab this and roughly get it into place. I'm going to go into X-ray mode. I'm going to scale this down a little bit more. Let's get a top view of this, and I'm going to scale it down on X. And then let's scale it down a little bit more on Y. Let's get a side view again. All right, that's roughly the dimensions we want. And then I think what I'll do is I will tab into object mode, face select mode. Let's grab this bottom face. Again, side view. And while we're at it, let's turn on our screencast keys. So let's scale down the bottom a little bit more. Let's grab it on Z, move it up a bit. Let's grab that top face, move it down just a bit. And then what I'll do is I will extrude it up, scale it down a little bit. So we get something like that. Maybe in the bottom we'll do something similar. Extrude it down a bit, scale it down some, so we get something like that. I want to add some loop cuts, so let's do a Control R, and I'm going to roll my wheel a bunch of times and just get some geometry added. And then I think I want to get a back view of this, kind of straight on. Let's roughly grab these faces right here. I was in X-ray mode, so it grabbed all the way through. So let's unselect those by holding Control and box selecting. And let's see what happens now if I just go ahead and I extrude these faces out. I'm still in side view, so I'm going to go ahead and grab them. Now let's just get a look at this from different points of view to make sure things moved more or less straight on. Looks like something funky is happening there, so I might actually have a problem with how I extruded. I guess we'll find out in a minute. So back into the side view though for the moment, I'm going to rotate a bit, just a bit. I think I will go ahead and hide this initial staple gun. Let's turn off X-ray for the moment and just see what's going on here. If I go ahead and go to edge select mode and I select this face and then Control and move over, all right, it looks like maybe we are okay. Maybe what I was seeing was not an issue. So I want to get a side view again. Let's grab it and move it down just on Z a bit. And then I think what I will do is unselect the two outer ones. So I'm going to hold down Shift and select or unselect each of those. Get a side view again. And I'm going to grab and move that down just a bit more. I think maybe we should add some geometry around here. So I'm going to go ahead and in this area, I'm going to Control R again, and we will add some loop cuts. Roll the wheel up a bit and hit Enter. Click to lock things into place. And now I do want to make this a little more organic. I've got curves in the original that I don't have here. I don't want to get too into the weeds yet, but I think maybe what I'll do is just go ahead and grab some of this geometry in the middle, maybe in face select mode, get a side view. Let's turn on our proportional editing. And I'm going to grab and roll my wheel way down. And let's just move this up a bit. And we'll roll my wheel bigger yet so that we get a little bit more of a curve. And something that's just a bit more organic. Maybe a little too much, we'll see. I also ended up making this concave, which I'm not so sure if I'm thrilled with that. But one step at a time. So I guess the next thing, if we take a look at this, is maybe I'll go ahead and extrude down through here. Basically, I'm going to want to select geometry roughly from here to here. So let's turn off X-ray mode. Let's unselect some of this. Oh, unselect. I pushed Shift instead of Control. And let's select a little bit more of this stuff. We'll get a side view. Bring back our item for reference. And let's extrude again. And we'll go down to just about here. I'm going to turn off proportional editing, G to grab, slide everything over a little bit. Let's consider some loop cuts here now. So Control R, roll that up a bit. So now at this point, I almost wonder if it wouldn't behoove me to add additional objects to handle some of this other geometry. So I might go ahead and Shift A and add a cube. Obviously, we need to scale it down quite a bit. Let's scale it down on Z. Let's grab it and move it a little bit. Let's scale it up on Y. Let's take a look at it from the top. Well, that's one wide stapler. So let's scale that down also on X. Let's bring back our reference object so that we get a sense of where we're at. So X looks okay. Let's look at it from the front view. We'll scale it up on Y, grab it a little bit, move it, get a front view. It's in the ballpark. Let's hide our reference object, see what we have. So I want to join these into one object. I'll use a Boolean for that, I suppose. Before I do that, though, I think I'm going to match things up a little bit better rather than trying to join things after the fact. So I'm going to go back to this object, and I'm going to get a look at these faces on the bottom. And I think I'm just going to, from the side view, grab them and move them down a bit. So I'm going to tab into this, and we'll see that there's not much geometry here. So let's go ahead and Control R and add a bunch of loop cuts to this as well. And maybe for good measure, we'll add loop cuts going the other ways. So we can go ahead and add a loop cut, maybe even 2 going this way. And maybe we'll add a couple of loop cuts going this way as well. And then we can go ahead and select a few of these faces and extrude them up. So I've got this roughed out really quickly. I think what I'm going to do for the moment is stop, and I'll come back and try to finish this up shortly.